All right, so we're here for part two, and so we talked about the first part about just kind of what was our first less than 24 hours of being in country. Kind of the real quick experience with getting Dasha and then getting to the camp. Now we're going to talk about just kind of the stuff that we've done on this. We've been here in country for just over
31 hours. I just counted it.
So we've been in country 31 hours, and
we slept maybe 7 or 8 of those hours because we were dead.
Yeah, we were dead tired. I was pretty wrecked because we finished at like 2:00 in the morning, and so then we got up, got something to eat, of course, and then we headed ahead, and then we're kind of just been in that mode to where we're figuring out what's kind of we're doing. So right now, where do we sit with Dasha?
So Dasha is obviously here with us in a hotel room talking to some boy in Russian in the room. Let her be a girl and enjoy her innocence. And I'm glad to be able to provide her just the peace that kind of brings,
Right.
But
some sense of normalcy.
It does
in her life.
So what we're looking at right now is we need a lot of prayers in regard to 2 things. We need an American embassy appointment to supernaturally open up. We think we have a few roads to this. There are a few senators actually helping us with this process right now. Short story. But at any rate, we need an American embassy appointment so we can take care of her visa. Mm-hmm. Secondarily, then, we need to identify the right type of visa. There are some hoops to jump through or a few walls we've got to cross before we get there. But again, we will be there where we can accomplish it. But we just need a lot of wisdom and we need a lot of divine opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that's kind of where we sit with her. Like we talked about in the first video a little bit. Right now, the other opportunities are just not coming to pass, and it's unfortunate because we had one person that we thought we were going to get to go on the border, and she's somewhere probably close to the border of Ukraine, maybe in Lviv, that we just not been able to get a hold of, which is concerning very much so.
Yeah. Phones die, and one of the things a lot of these refugees are having as they travel, there's just no power. I mean, there's no way to charge phones, and some of the cell phone towers have been bombed. So even if they have a phone, communicating is just going to be nil. Right. So what we're seeing is there's a city in western Ukraine called Lviv where a lot of people will flee to. Then in Lviv, they can get on a train and take it probably, I think it's taking people about 4 to 6 hours. It's not a long drive, but the way this is going, it's just slowed. So anyway, but by the time they get there, you don't know this person is even ready until they text you or call you and say, hey, I'm at the border, come get me, which is a 4-hour drive from Warsaw to go down. So
and you don't really know where exactly they're at.
No.
Because there's multiple points of entry, and so
they don't know where they're at.
Because if it would be a thing to where as a potential, if we kind of just knew that they were close or knew around, if we was just say a checkpoint, then I mean, let's go. Let's just, I don't care. Let's throw out. But being so many different entry points, you're potentially just looking for a needle in 12 bundles worth of hay. You know what I mean? So,
and I think it's worth saying too, in a situation like this, and what we do is ministry. So there is a professional aspect of things. There is the business side of what we do. But at the end of the day, there is a spiritual side of this where we are people of faith and we trust God's divinity and we trust in His sovereignty. And a situation like this with Ukraine, this is chaos.
Right.
So if you are the type A kind of person where this should go this way, this should happen at this time, good luck and tell me how that goes.
Right.
Because that's not really how faith is working in this particular situation. Is we have to be ready, but we really have had, I mean, you and I, if we've come over, we've really just had to follow God's promptings. I mean, we are at His blueprint, we are on His agenda, and we don't say that half-heartedly. We just don't know. And in the middle of this video, we could get a phone call from her like, hey, I'm at the border, and we're 4 hours out, man. So, like, this is what we're doing.
We're going to drive her now.
Right. So this is some of the stuff that we contend with, but it's very hard to plan.
It is.
And it's very hard, so it's like, hurry up and then wait. And hurry up and then we're on the road getting this girl, or we're meeting with, a pastor who I know you'll speak on in a minute, or we wait and we research and we see what we can do in the little moments that we have here. And it's crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, right now we're just kind of in limbo with some of those. We're just kind of waiting to see if there are any opportunities. When we're here, we're ready. We have the resources, and so if something comes a knocking, we're going to answer that call. And so, just your prayers for that. Just whatever opportunities that God wants to prevail, and to bring out, then that'll give us opportunity. And so, really, we're just kind of trying to figure out what God has next for us right now while we have time in country. We got to meet today. We got to meet, his name is Pastor Doyle. Warren, and he's got an association with Polish Christian Ministries as well, and he was able to. We went and had a good conversation and some dinner with him in Warsaw with him today, and got to hear some of his heart for, of course, the Polish people. He's very impressed. He's actually a pastor from Oklahoma, and he's here for I think that for the next like 4 or 5 months. And he was just talking about the pride of the Polish people and about how resilient they are in the face of adversity, and how open they have been to the Ukrainian people. And so we, as soon as we got done with dinner, he asked, if we wanted to head out because we wanted to go see at least some of the impact. And he took us to their central train station in Warsaw. And I tell you right now, I don't know of a situation in my life probably where I have been more moved or more almost broken.
Well, and I think for you, what everybody needs to understand is context.
Right.
You have a military background.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing what you saw tonight,
right.
If that's the thing that moves you the most from
right.
having been what you've endured,
mm-hmm.
that speaks volumes.
Sure.
Because you've already seen things.
Oh yeah.
So coming into this, having already seen that, if that elevates what we're dealing with, that's a big deal.
Yeah, and so I think one of the things that we, I think just was really on our heart. So you walk into this train station, and it's just this ginormous middle entryway, and it is just, and Pastor Doyle that was with us, even though it was packed in there, and there were people everywhere. He says this is not even as packed as it was, a couple days ago. And he said so, and
what I like a lot too. I mean, it wasn't even a comparison.
And I'm going to have some videos. I'm going to have some pictures either posted in this video or for later on. But I mean, there's just people on top of people, and they're on cardboard boxes, on blankets, on pillows, just sleeping in the train station because they've got nowhere else to go. And you have people waiting for buses, and people waiting in food lines and resource lines. And I mean, it was just, it broke my heart because it was just so overwhelming to watch the need and the brokenness that is coming from what is going on in Ukraine. And because of one man's action, you have just straught just this destruction on a people. And it was just, it's the result of what is evil. And so when we're walking around, man, my heart just, I was just hurting so bad because you're watching moms hug children. You're watching families huddled in corners, sleeping on boxes and crying, and just devastated by their situation. And so, but then I'm blown away, and which Pastor Doyle was talking about. He's about how when you're looking around and you're seeing the Polish people in action and how they're walking around and offering them rides or offering them resources, offering them homes, offering them food and different stuff that they need for their babies. And I got a really cool couple of shots of and I guess they're just workers for the Polish government. These young guys, it almost looked like a fire type suits with coating on it, and they were walking around with stuffed animals, tucked in their clothes, just maybe show the kids that they're friendly and be able to. And they just walk around. They were handing candy bars to kids and like drink boxes and those kind of things. But again, I would say one of the biggest things is just watch the Polish people really, man, just being so accepting of all those refugees and then doing everything that they can to ensure that they can get what they need and where they go. But there's just still so much more need out there. And then I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to see some more of that when we're here, as far as the different organizations that are offering those resources, so that way we can potentially bring that back to you and see how you can help. And so I will be likely setting up a fundraising page in the next day or two, so that some of the costs that we've incurred here, we can get some assistance with, especially with just travel and other resources. But also we want to be able to provide some money to perhaps different camps or different organizations. We were able to give some money to Camp Proim, for instance, and I know they highly appreciate, they highly appreciated that. And then so whatever else we can give to different organizations, just at least some monetary help so that they can find the place. And so
one of the things that Pastor Doyle had said so many times tonight was, he said, look at the generosity. Look at the generosity of this. And he kept recalling the generosity of the Polish people. But one of the things that we had seen that he had a very good point with was, at one point, a few volunteers had walked by and they had that tray full of sandwiches and then supplies. And he said, listen, they've been to everybody and they actually have extra left over. And so watching this, I really thought a lot about Jesus feeding the 5,000, where you have such a high multitude of people, but with such little, you can provide so much.
Sure.
And generosity really was the word that was being recalled there. And it is a time for generosity in these situations. It really is. It's time for the church's generosity to do what only God can do. Because one of the things that we've seen over here in helping refugees is it's been the church. It's been the church, the global, the kingdom of God working together and doing that. And generosity is a very big piece of that. Yeah,
and I think it's funny though, because you can tell Pastor Doyle is a pastor, right? Because we were standing on like this bridge that was overlooking a lot of this chaos, but at the same time, it's beautiful generosity, and I'm tearing up. And I think he can kind of sense that with me, just that I was struggling in that moment, just to kind of fathom, like, what was I watching, the devastation that I was watching. And then that's when he mentioned to us that, so he goes, now listen, he goes, on the bright spot, he goes, look at the generosity that is now enacted, and now all the people that are here to help them. And it was crazy, because there are a crazy amount of people that were there assisting the refugees.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the best ways that we're going to as a church to be able to support them, of course, first and foremost, is in prayer. And then secondly is going to be some sort of monetary donation. And then we're, constantly need to be look at if there does need to be some refugee, transferring to, some refugees transferring to the U.S. I think that's going to be a possibility.
America's not ready for it yet. And when I say that, our government has just not figured out what they're going to do with these visas. What I have learned, though, today is, in speaking with congressmen and speaking with senators, they're working on this, and so there will be the time when the churches will have the ability to help with these refugees even in America, where right now it's overseas. This is coming our way.
So I think one of the cool things is that while we're here, we're making some good contacts. We're getting some good names, and when I was at Camp Proem, I was able to get the pastor's information there, and so I can I've been staying in touch with him, and I'm getting to know some others that are over here as well, and so I'll be able to get their information and just to potentially see what that progress would look like and how can we support them the best way possible in the interim before that goes. So again, I think we'll cut it off here, and I just want to say again how much I appreciate again the elders and you guys for allowing me to have this opportunity to come over. Thanks for my brother Trevor for just opening up this opportunity for me to come with him and to have these types of experiences and just to be able to really just to serve God. I mean, I know I get to be the outreach pastor, but it's one of those things where it's at the last minute. Didn't know I was getting to go do outreach in Poland, but I'll take that every day, all day. And last but not least, thanks to our wives for holding down the fort.
And generally for putting up with us in general, right?
Well, that's the norm, right? But sincerely for, just holding down the fort, of course. They're used to it actually by now, but at the same time, it doesn't go without saying that without them doing what they're doing, we couldn't, have this opportunity to come over, rescue your daughter, and then also look for other ways to be able to serve. So again, guys, just continue to stay tuned to, I'll be putting some more stuff out, and then we'll look at ways that we can help serve together the people of Poland and the people of Ukraine, and just continue to pray for peace and sovereignty in this part of the world, because it's desperately needed. Because like I said tonight, man, it was hard, because we got to see probably some of the worst brokenness I've seen in a long time, and man.
I mean, I've been to Haiti. Tonight was probably worse.
Yeah. So again, just be in prayer for them, and let's continue to lean into God and to ask Him to show us where to serve the best. So, and we thank you guys again. Thank you so much for your continued support and enthusiastic support, I will say. and for all that you guys do on the east side and beyond. Love you guys.
Thank you.